What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I'm LotusAsakura, the one never knows best, bringing you some more Dragon Ball FighterZ matches and continuing on with my coverage of my City of Mayhem run from a little over a week ago. Actually, it's been almost 2 weeks, I guess, at this point. But yes, continuing on where we left off. In our last video, I believe we made a very surprising yet convincing victory over Neo Jedi in the winner side of the bracket, proceeding on to face off against Bubbles, who is a fellow Android 18 player, and then we ended up falling to him too, being sent to the losers bracket. I decided I was going to stick to my 18 Bardock and Trunks team the whole way through. I mean, it was actually working out pretty well for me. And I've actually been playing it a decent bit more since this tournament, because I feel like I had been neglecting it for a while. But I mean, that team's always gonna have a special place in my heart, right? It's what I played for years, literally the majority of the game's lifespan. But as you can see, in the losers of the bracket, we ended up facing off against Weeb Team Leader, who I was not familiar with in terms of having played him myself before, but I had seen him play. I knew he was pretty solid, and I knew this would not be an easy match for me. And as you can see, he's playing a team of Gogeta, DBFZ, Broly, and Krillin. And I mean, it feels like it'd be redundant to say that Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta is a character I struggle against, because Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta is a character that we all struggle against, as he is arguably the best character in the game. That being said, I've seen a lot of debate. Obviously, there's always going to be debate about who the top characters are in the game, who's the top 5, who's number 1. And a lot of people, I maybe even would say the majority of people, based on what I've seen around, still have Labcoat as the number 1 character in the game. And I'm not here to say that she isn't. I'm certainly not. I play the character, so I'm biased anyway, I guess, in most people's eyes. But she absolutely has a very strong argument for being the best character in the game. You know who doesn't? Android 18, who is now down for the count. But I truly do believe that Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta is also arguably the best character in the game. I think it's like a 4-way deadlock, or like at least 4-way contention between Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, Vegito, and Labcoat 21. I think those are probably easily the 4 best characters in the game. And I've seen some people who are like surprised, right? I think among the more competitive players, a lot of us actually kind of agree. I say us as if I'm a top player or anything, but like, you know, people who like regularly play at a moderate to higher level or compete in tournaments, they have a very strong opinion of Gogeta Blue. I mean, we all do, but I think some of the lesser players don't think he's as strong, or they just think that Labcoat and Vegito and the other Gogeta are just far better, when I don't think that's really true. Because if you think about it, Gogeta's a character who, for one, has great buttons, right? That didn't used to be the case, but he has amazing normals. His 2M is one of the best in the game. He's got great jabs. He's got a free side switch off of his auto combo. He gets mix off of everything. He's got Rekka. He's got 2H plus assist. He's got a lot of ways to get mix on you. He's got I said it already, the DX Rekka itself. He's got the Kamehameha stuff. He's also got crazy damage output, some of the highest damage in the game. And not to mention that it's crazy high damage for super easy execution. Gogeta Blue is not a very difficult character to play at all. So optimizing him is not nearly as difficult as it is for some other characters out there. He's also got a very powerful assist. I think all of his assists are actually really good. I mean, the A assist is 75 hit stun, wall bounce assist that also has a moderate block stun. The B assist is a DP assist, which I think is really underrated. I'm doing a lot of talking about Gogeta Blue and gassing him up as opposed to covering his commentary, but as you can see, I'm getting bodied, so not a whole lot for me to say other than Weeb Team Leader is giving me the hands right now. But going back to my point, so Gogeta Blue's super easy damage output. He's also one of the characters who benefits by far the most from the new active tag mechanic. I say new, it's been in the game for a while now, but the fusions, I mean Labcoat as well, but the fusions in Labcoat, they just easily benefit from the mechanic way more than anybody else. They utilize it super well. Just gives them more meter, more damage, and they 2-touch off of literally anything thanks to it, as if they needed that in order to 2-touch you in the first place. But yeah, he also has beams that jail into vanish. He also can jail from full screen from beam into EX Rekka. And it's, again, that just goes back to him having great neutral, and his beams are also able to easily be vanished out of because they're tied to just his S button instead of being like a command input, like a Kamehameha, and like, let's say Goku Black, for example, like a 2-3S, a 2-3-6S, I mean. He's also got command grab. He's got pretty much every tool you want except a barrier, I guess. He's got a DP, he's got an EX DP that gives him full combo as well in the corner. He's got ways to get sliding knockdown anywhere on screen. He's pretty much got everything that you really want a character to have in this game right now. He's got skip neutral with EX Rekkas as well, or with Rekka in general, to be honest. Well, no, it's really the EX Rekka, but I digress. And then his DPs are also Aero K. He's got supers in here. He's got multiple supers. He's got a level 5. Again, just going back to more and more damage he's able to output. So if you got bar, he can dump it so easily. But yeah, man, I mean, I think you get the point. I spent an entire match and a half talking about how good Gogeta Blue is. He's got a lot. he's got a lot. I'm not saying there's obviously not strengths and things that Vegito, the other Gogeta, and Lab Coat have that Super Saiyan Blue doesn't, but I think he's a character that I've seen people like, oh yeah, but you got to build around him. And to that I say, I don't really think you do that much. And the thing is, in the context of this game, it doesn't really matter that you quote unquote have to build around him when the characters that you have to play him with are also the best characters in the game and are the characters that everybody plays anyway. I think it's kind of like a moot point, in my opinion, to say that like, oh, but you have to play like these assists, because like, who's Gogeta's best friends? Lab Coat, Vegito, like Android 17, all top tier characters that are very common at high level play. So it's like, if his best friends are also the other characters who are arguably the best, or at the bare minimum top 5, and I guess in 17's case maybe top 10, because it's debatable whether or not you want to put him top 5. If you did, I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't necessarily say he is, but either way, you know what I'm saying is yeah. Anyway, we're actually gonna get away from the Gogeta Blue talk at this point, because I did just focus on that entirely. But as you can see here in game number 2, we were actually giving Weeb Team Leader the hands. We were nearly a perfect. We nearly had a perfect. But he's left with a solo Krillin with a ton of bar, no sparking. We still have ours. A pretty healthy Bardock, full health Trunks, Android 18's at about half health. He drops his combo with Krillin. Krillin's a pretty sneaky character, man. I've always thought this character was sneaky good. He's gotten better and better. And you starting to see him a tiny bit more here and there. I feel like Krillin is, I wouldn't call it a resurgence because he was never that popular in the first place, but he's just kind of rising the ranks, I think Krillin's at a point right now where people understand how strong he is. Thank you for the barrier, saving me there and getting me the second game over Weeb Team Leader. But I think Krillin's at a point where it's like people understand how strong he is, but he's a little bit more finicky and tricky than some other characters. And it's also just like, you know, more reward for less effort, or I mean, more effort for less reward kind of thing. Because again, like the fusions, and I think that's one of the big issues I have with this patch, and I think the big issue a lot of people have with this patch, where the risk reward in this game is like super skewed, where the easiest characters with the lowest risk are currently the strongest, and have the best reward, and then you have other characters like Base Vegeta and, you know, Krillin and like Android 18 and things like that, who are good characters. They're strong, but it's a lot more effort or only equal or less than as great reward, you know what I mean? And it's like, well, why bother kind of thing. And I guess the answer to that is, well, if you just enjoy the character, you just want more diversity and variety. But yeah, like when you're playing this game at the highest level, when you're competing for you know, hundreds or thousands of dollars against the best players in the world, you're gonna pick what's, you know, best. And I think that's something I need to reiterate, because it feels like it's something that some people always forget, is that no matter what changes ever happen, not just in this game but in any fighting game, there's always going to be top tiers. There's always going to be characters who stand out above the rest, even in the most balanced game ever, right? Because I would say that you know, seasons 1 and 2 of Tekken 7 were pretty balanced, especially season 1, right? We talked about and we praised Tekken as being like the most balanced fighting game, and the game where you can literally pick anybody and win. But even in that game, there were top tiers, you know what I'm saying? Like early on in Tekken 7's lifespan, it was very clear that Jack, you know, Devil Jin, Jin, these characters were, you know, some of the best in the game. Jack wasn't anything like super, especially, he was just really you know, simple, easy, you know what I'm saying? It didn't take a whole lot. And Dragunov as well. It's also easy to say that maybe our opinion of those characters was a little bit skewed because JDCR and Saint were so powerful, as well as you know, Anakin and Joey Fury, and who else played Jack and Aroma, I believe, as well. But I mean, you know, this many players wouldn't play the character if he wasn't strong, right? Same thing goes for Dragunov, where you had like you know, JDCR and Nobi and a couple others as well. And maybe the Tekken talk is going over a lot of people's heads, but circling back to my original point, the point is, no matter which characters are buffed or nerfed, or you know, what version of the game it is, or what fighting game you're playing, there's always going to be top tiers, and those top tiers are always going to be the most popular at the highest level of play and the most common and very commonly seen. And you know, it's funny also, you know, talking about diversity, because it might feel to a lot of you, I know it felt like to me, like the game is at the lowest point of variety it's ever had, because it seems like there's just so many people just playing nothing but fusions in the lab coat. And there's more of a discussion to be had about this, but I remember we talked about it a bit on Twitter, or at least I, you know, had a brief discussion with Damascus, and the numbers actually show that, you know, despite how it may feel or it may seem or it may look, right now we have the most diversity that we've had at major tournaments right now, despite the fact that it feels like the fusions and lab coat run everything. What I will say though, and I don't have actual numbers to back this up, it's just, you know, based on the eye test and feeling or whatnot. I don't know if there's ever been a time in DBFZ's history where so many people are playing the exact same team, because, you know, people running both the blues and 17, or you know, both the blues and lab coat is extremely common. I think the closest I can remember is back in season 1 where everyone was copying, and I say everyone, but people were copying Kazunoko and they were playing Gotenks, Gohan, Yamcha. And even then, the only people that, oh my god, I remember this, I tried to tech and spark and my spark didn't come out, and then it looked like he made a crazy read, when in reality I just didn't do the input, or my input just didn't come out quickly enough, and yeah, I ended up dying here with my sparking, and we go down 2-1 to Weeb Team lead, and we're eliminated for the tournament. I did almost no commentary at all about the matches, but I think we've got some good discussion going on here, so I'm gonna keep it going for a little bit, even though it's the end of the matches. So if you guys don't mind, I'm gonna just ramble on a little bit more. But yeah, back in season 1, and a lot of you guys weren't around in season 1, which is all the more reason why I need to do more of those videos where we go back and watch old DBFZ footage, because it's really fun and really exciting. You guys get to see what the game was like before you were around, because so many of you only joined in season 2 or 3, even a few months ago or sometime earlier this year. But yeah, you know, back in season 1, a lot of people were copying Gotenks, Gohan, Yamcha, but not that many people were actually succeeding with it. The only 2 players I remember really putting any work with it were Kazunoko and Nakio. But yeah, and then I'm trying to think what were some other really prominent teams. I mean, obviously Cell, Bardock, Super Saiyan Vegeta was a common one, because obviously Goichi and Femich both ran that team, so you saw that team at least 2 times in pretty much every top 8, because both of them played it, and Femich continued to play that team for so long, even after Goichi would switch his teams up. Trying to think, Kid Buu, Yamcha, GT Goku was a pretty common one, especially in Japan, now that I'm thinking about it. So there definitely are some teams that come to mind. Yeah, again, I have my own biases. I might don't count on it, and if I do, it won't be like I'll throw it up on screen in this video, but I might go ahead and do my own research and see how common these teams are and how common some of those teams were in the past, and I could look at old tournament results and match footage and see, you know, what it was like back then compared to now. But matter of fact, real quick, could I find Damascus's tweet just to show you guys what I was talking about in terms of like, you know, he looked at the teams that were played at like Evo and World Finals, and hold on, I forget what else, but just give me just a second here. How long ago was it? No, I can find those tweets. No, I can find those tweets. Here it goes. Here it goes. I actually did find it. So if we take a look over here, and I'll bring this stuff up on the monitor for you guys. Actually, you can see exactly what it is I'm referring to. Let me just drag this over here. Boom. All right. So, so Damascus was talking about, he made a meme about, you know, rollback coming and stuff, and somebody said, you and Tyrant say that this is the best time to play DBFZ, and you still don't apologize for that. And Damascus says, it is objectively 100% best time to play DBFZ because there was literally no moment in competitive history where that many characters were viable in competition. And this is something that I would agree with, because despite how common the top tiers are, which again is always going to be the case in every fighting game and every version of every fighting game, the top tiers are going to be super common. I think this is the most balanced the DBFZ roster has ever been, and at a point where some characters are the strongest they've ever been, or at least competitively more viable than they've ever been, right? We've actually seen a fair number of characters make top 8s or, you know, even top 3s, and more so than we had seen, I guess, in the past, maybe, because there were some characters who just never got any shine at all, except for super rare occasions. But that being said, you know, I replied, said, I think I disagree. Despite the roster probably being the most well-rounded it has ever been, I don't think it really matters because, in my opinion, right now, this is the most we've ever seen so much of the literal exact same team. I think end of season 1, Gotenks, Gohan, Yamcha is close, but not quite, which, you know, I just told you guys about. And then Damascus replied, because I guess he actually went in and looked at the numbers, because you can look at like Liquipedia, I think it is, or, you know, just go back and check results of old tournaments and see what teams players were using. And back in 2018, there were 12 different characters played in Evo, 10 different characters played in World Finals. In 2019, there were 13 different characters in the top 8 of Evo. By the way, this is top 8. I mean, it says it right here, but I didn't say that part out loud. 13 different characters used in top 8 at Evo, 12 different characters played at top 8 at World Finals, and in 2022, obviously there's a gap there because of, you know, and in 2022, 15 different characters played on top 8 at Evo, and 16 different characters played top 8 of World Finals. So he says, I don't think this is even the most we've seen the same team. Double Fusions is about even with GT Goku and Bardock. And there's probably some truth to that. What I did mean though is, even though the variety, the spread might be higher, what I meant in my reply, and still my same point, is that I meant people playing like literally the exact same team. Because sure, you know, Bardock had a time where he was on every team. GT Goku had a time where he was on every single team. And there's right now a time where there's obviously everybody is playing a fusion or lab coat, right? I myself play lab coat, but I actually love the character. And there's some people who genuinely love the fusions too, and I get that, but I still hate them. But I mean, literally people playing Gogeta, Vegito, Labco, like that's super common right now. Like that is the team scrub right now. You know what I mean? Back then we used to call team scrub Gotenks Bardock 16. That was team scrub for a short while. Or playing Kid Buu Cell Bardock, that was team scrub for a while as well. Yeah, and then I replied here with the same thing. But yeah, I think I don't know if there will ever be another patch for DBFZ. They kind of said that they don't have any more plans to do any more patches or balance updates. We still have gotten zero information or follow-up about the rollback announcement, and I don't know what the reasoning for that may be, but I guess it just is what it is. But some people are also trying to tell me that there might have been some sort of mistranslation. I haven't seen like more official stuff on that, and I'm still not gonna hold my breath or keep my hopes up super high about that. But hey, I mean, you know me, I'm as much time, energy, passion, blood, sweat, and tears as I put into this game. I'm all the way here for more updates. Actually, what I would prefer is a sequel, like a new game. Even more so than a balance patch or a new version or something, or unless they want to go like the Guilty Gear route, you know, like Xrd and, you know, Rev 2 and whatnot, something like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be an entirely new game, but it'd be really cool. It'd be really cool. I'm down for more DBFZ content no matter how it comes, or just a new game very similar to it with a different anime. That would also be great. Which, by the way, if you made it to this point in the video, let me know if you could have a brand new not Dragon Ball, but a brand new fighting game that was basically in the same style of DBFZ, obviously with some mechanical tweaks here and there, because if it's Naruto, we're not going to have super dashing, right? It'd be like chakra dashing, or if it's Bleach, you'd have people like flash stepping, I guess, or something along those lines. You know, the thing is, there'd have to be some slight tweaks here or there, right? But don't worry about the specific mechanical stuff, but just another game developed by Arc System Works in a similar style to Dragon Ball FighterZ. Any anime, what would you pick? I gotta assume the most common answers are going to be Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece, the original big three. And for me, it would obviously be Naruto, like given the choice of anyone. And then outside of that, I'd pick, you know, some of my other favorites like Yu Yu Hakusho or Shaman King. This is a question I get asked a lot on stream, to the point where I have commands in my chat that answer it for me, because I used to get asked it every single day, 500 times a day. But yeah, if you could pick any of the series, what would you pick? And also, be sure to leave a like. Hit this video. Well, I guess that was redundant to say, because I was about to say my outro, which is why I tell you guys to hit a like. But hit this video with a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already, so you can stay tuned for all this content I'm bringing you. And with all that being said, let's turn it off today. And remember that it can happen at least from the bad. Later.